Hi, my name is Zhuma, and today I will discuss the article Cinema, the Mind, and the Reader in Virginia Woolf's The Mark on the Wall. The article primarily explores the connection between Virginia Woolf's short story, The Mark on the Wall, and the aesthetics of modern film. The book is a groundbreaking modernist text through its cinematic narrative techniques and philosophical underpinnings. Not only presents the fragmented nature of modern consciousness, but also actively constructs a kind of juxtaposition of aesthetics. And this aesthetic challenges traditional authority and ultimately empowers readers as co-creators of meaning. And now, I will try to articulate the main arguments of the text. The author first argued that Woolf's understanding of film aesthetics and literary practice predated in the 1926 AC, the cinema, and were already contained in the novel The Mark on the Wall in 1917, he gives the evidence. And firstly, the author cites Woolf's 1980 AC, the movie novel, which already indirectly demonstrates her insights into the film experience. The narrative features of The Mark on the Wall can be correlated with the ideas in the AC, the cinema. Then, the author borrows Trotter's concept of convergence to further argue that Woolf's collection to film didn't stem from being directly influenced by a specific film, but the modernist writers and filmmakers responded to the same modern conditions, a fragmented, speed-driven world where authority has collapsed. And the second argument is that The Mark on the Wall explores techniques and similar to the film to imitate the flow and discontinuity of modern consciousness, thereby subverting the traditional epistemological foundation. And he first gives a textual analysis of the opening of the Woolf's book. In the novel, she uses the image in the fire and the mark on the wall to correspond the magic Latin and the film respectively, constructing a media metaphor to express the fact that traditional literature relies on vertical narrative. However, the narrative approach fails to capture the fragmented nature of modern experience. And next, the author points out that the fragmentation of thought is not merely a formal experiment, but also has a philosophical critical intention. The narrator's skepticism about certainty imitates Descartes' meditations, subverting the stable philosophical foundations of I think, therefore I am. And another argument he puts forward is the flatness of film inspired Woolf to construct the aesthetics of juxtaposition. Hersand points out the traditional literature relies on verticality, where images point to be a fixed, hidden, deep meaning. In contrast, film shots as a long-living agent present the surface of things and don't provide a fixed meaning. The narrative mode of The Mark on the Wall corresponds to this, presenting not only fragmented scenes and being flat, so that to demonstrate the meaning arises from the juxtaposition of surface images. And the author also believes that through flatness and juxtaposition, Woolf challenges the vertical meaning system of traditional literature, a system that is essentially the fixed perspective of patriarchal society. Therefore, The aesthetic innovation carries political implications and provides Woolf with a tool to challenge patriarchal authority. And the author puts forward fourth argument: the film concept drives Woolf to establish a new textual cooperation relationship between the author and the reader, thereby undermining traditional authority. And Herson believes that by weakening the authority of the narrator, Woolf endows the text with uncertainty and openness, inviting readers to actively participate in the construction of meaning and transforming them from passive recipients into active participants. The narrator in this novel repeatedly thinking about getting up to examine the mark but gives up, and the author interprets this choice as a metaphor. Woolf invites readers to sit comfortably, just like in a cinema, like the cinema audiences, and altogether participate in the construction of meaning rather than pursuing a definite truth or relying on the author's authoritative interpretation. In summary, the author ultimately points out that the film-related narrative experiments in a mark on the wall are Woolf's response to the essence of modern society. By drawing on film's flicker, montage, and flatless, she constructs an aesthetics of juxtaposition to present the fluid characteristics of modern thought through a new form of collaboration between the text and the reader. She dissolves traditional authority while granting readers illegitimate freedom, ultimately realizing the modernist idea of reconstructing the world through literature. And now I will try to relate them to the primary taste for the week. The primary taste, five phases of modernity. Although these two essays focuses on different areas, the former is the interaction between literary text and the film, and the latter is the theoretical spectrum of modernity. They form a deep response in three dimensions: the core characteristics of modernist aesthetics, and the relationship between art and modern society, and the posture of creators. And one of Kleinesk's central argument is to elucidate how Baudelaire defines modernity as the transitory, the fugitive, and the contingent, emphasizing the half of art fluid and ephemeral combines with the internal and the immutable to constitute beauty in art, rather than pursuing an abstract and original traditional aesthetics paradigm. This proposition aligns closely with Herson's analysis of Woolf's technique and breaking away from linear logic of traditional narrative, allowing meaning to emerge through fragmented associations rather than a fixed core. And Kleinsk points out that Baudelaire, as a defender of aesthetic modernity, was a critic of bourgeois modernity. He advocated the novelty of art, but strongly condemned the utilitarianism and egalitarianism of bourgeois society. Meanwhile, Woolf, through the flatless and juxtaposition afforded by cinematic techniques, reconstructed artistic expression to challenging the vertical authority of patriarchal society. They both respond to the social alienation with artistic innovation and criticizing modern society while refusing to retreat the traditional aesthetic comfort zone. Overall, the two have a high degree of resonance, but there are differences in their focus area. Klinescu's research provides a macroscopic framework of modernity theory for Herson's textual analysis, while Herson's interpretation offers specific literary practice cases for Klinescu's theory, and the two form a complementary relationship of theory and practice. And this above is all my discussion about the test today, and the open-ended questions were sent over together with the video links. Thank you!